All right, now that everyone's kind of got their pizza, we're gonna go ahead and get started for today. So hey y'all, how's it going? First up, we have Corey Pickering, gonna hear to talk about the CSR informational.
Hey everybody, my name's Corey. I'm a student assistant at the Center for Students in Recovery. I'm just here to give you guys a little information about what we do. We're kind of an underutilized resource here on campus. We're a center for students who are in recovery, just like we're called. A lot of times people wonder what recovery is. Recovery can mean many different things, but we mostly focus on process addictions, eating disorders, things of that nature. We offer services to any student. Any student's free to come to our meetings. We have 3 meetings a week. We have an eating disorder meeting, an all recovery meeting, which is like pretty general. Usually I'm the one that does the all recovery meetings, which are on Friday. I can't tell you offhand the days of the other meetings, but you can go to our website, it's recovery.utdgeosciences.edu. We also have a licensed counselor, and well, actually right now we don't have a licensed counselor. I say like we usually have a licensed counselor. We will have a licensed counselor just as soon as they get someone hired. Usually what he'll do is he'll work with you, he'll come up with something called a recovery plan, which is like basically like steps that he thinks you should take, how much you should see him to help you conquer your struggles, your whatever you're trying to recover from. You also don't have to be actively seeking recovery. Like me, myself, I've been in recovery for 7 years. I started here 3 years ago. I just got out of prison a year before that. And I started at the counseling center, and I was kind of looking for like somewhere I could go to like feel more at home. And that's when I started going to the Center for Students in Recovery. It was really good place for me to like build a community, meet people, things of that nature. I really recommend the meetings, especially if you, I don't know if anybody's ever done process groups or things like that, but they're really good. They really, help out. Other than that, I'm just going to leave these here for you guys.
And I will send out the link to their website on GroupMe and Discord for y'all.
Yeah, and our email is just recovery@utdgeosciences.edu. Thank you guys.
Thank you. All right, so on to kind of what we're here for today. So we're doing a resume workshop, but I have it a little bit more geared towards y'all, geoscience people. So first off, what is a resume? I hope y'all all know what resumes are by this point, but it's a formal document of itemized qualifications that you apply for jobs and scholarships. Ideally, you want it to be like 1 page. Really emphasize that. I'm going to drive that home. It has to be 1 page. People are not going to read more than 1 page. It emphasizes your skills and even things that are non-academic related to the job or scholarship offered. It really just encompasses who you are and your qualifications of different varieties. So a little bit of the basics. You're going to want your name and your contact information, your objective, which is kind of optional. I'm not really going to cover objective in here because chances are y'all probably won't even have room for an objective at this point. You want your education, your technical skills, academic projects, work experience, and relevant activities. So a couple do's and don'ts. Do's, use reverse chronological order. So do most recent to least recent. So you're not going to list your high school first. You're going to list your college first, where you currently are, UTD. You want to update it regularly. It's really easy to forget the little things that actually can count towards things that you put on your resume. If you're not updating it more than at least once a year. I'm guilty of this myself. So do as I say, don't do as I do. Proofread it, please. Typos don't really reflect well. And make sure you have key qualifications for the job and scholarship, especially if you're gearing it towards something specific. Make sure you talk about something that relates specifically. Like if you're looking for a job using the SEM, probably mention that you've used an SEM before. So don't exceed 1 page. I'm really going to drive that home here. And don't include personal information like your nationality, gender, marriage status, stuff like that, because that really isn't relevant to how well you can do your job. And that just opens up a list of bad things, especially legally. Employers generally don't really ask you that anyways. Now we're kind of in the times of don't list references. You probably, like if you're applying to a job and your friend is getting you in there, they are going to put in a good word for you. you don't have to list them on there. You can always add references available upon request. That's always nice. I do that, but I don't actually list my references. Also, don't include a photo. Like, this is really optional, but like a lot of times employers are going to be printing on black and white, and then it just kind of looks like a blob. And again, you probably just won't have room for it. So a little bit of formatting stuff. So I'm going to provide y'all with like templates. Like, there's going to be a QR code to actually look at them, but kind of standard things are like, you want to font size between 10 to 12. Anything less, you can't really read. Anything more, and it kind of looks like word arty. You want to actually pick a standard, easy to read font. So please don't use some sort of script. It's not going to be able to be picked up by any sort of AI that they might use if you're applying online, and people in person might not even be able to read it. You want to organize, easily navigatable, kind of makes sense. If they're just giving a glance over, like most employers will do, if it's actually a person, if they're having to look for things, they're not going to. Margins at least 0.5 inches wide. You really don't want to be getting all of your words cut off and they're printing things off. 1 page maximum. Again, emphasizing it. I think that's the last time I emphasize it. Maybe, probably not. So again, black and white if it's printed. Usually black and white. Offices generally aren't going to use their nice fancy color printers, and ink, it's expensive to do so. It's a little bit of a different story if it's like online, but generally you don't really know if it's going to be printed or not unless you specifically ask, and they might not even know when they're telling you. Limit your use of bold, italics, and bullets. Again, too much of it gets kind of word arty, and it kind of takes away from the formatting you did. Use a consistent font size. So don't have 5 different font sizes if you don't have to. Usually 2 is probably about good. Maybe 3 for like your name if you want it a little bit bigger than everything else, but it'll be at the top anyways. Also, some consistency with underlining, space, indents, emboldening, and date formatting. Consistency is really key for these resumes, because if you don't have consistency, it's hard to read. Spell check. Don't use any abbreviation or slang, especially if you're writing the name of the university. Don't put UTD, put UT Dallas, like University of Texas at Dallas. Write the full name out. Also, a little tip, send as a PDF to a person, because it's less likely to get some weird formatting things that you'll probably experience. I have quite a few times. But if you're submitting it to a website, you actually might want to keep it as a Word doc, because it might actually be able to read it a little bit better. That's just kind of like the new age AI stuff. So contact information. So on the, I think it'll be right of the screen for y'all, I actually have some of like a few examples, couple things. Make sure it's up to date. Don't put your old address, or well, don't put your address at all, but don't put like an old email, or else how are they going to get back to you? You want to give like all of your contact information, so like your phone, since y'all have UTD, email addresses, maybe that, because that looks nice. Postal address to UTD. You don't really want to include your full address, because employers are not going to come to your house. It's kind of weird to put on something that might be seen by a lot of people. You can only put, like the city, so like Richardson, Texas, or something like that. That's very good. But they don't need to know that you live at UTD and your apartment number, because you don't want people showing up to your house. Also, we talked about LinkedIn's a while ago. If you did it and it's polished, you can add that URL in. So I believe, I don't think any of these here, but on a later slide, oh yeah, it is. So a LinkedIn down here. That always helps for like, if a employer is really interested in you, and like you can only put so much on one page, they can actually go and find you and, see kind of like what you're about, what you're posting, all that sort of stuff. Hence why keep it professional on LinkedIn, especially if you're going to add that. Okay, so on to kind of like our first section, education. Well, I guess this would be second section, but you're going to want to like list your UTD degree first. Like I said, college degrees matter a lot more to employers, or like, expected college graduation date than your high school did, because there's obviously a much higher percentage of people who have high school degrees than college degrees. So You might also want to list your current degree that you're pursuing, since none of us are graduated yet, and add like an anticipated graduation date. Kind of gives the employer an idea of like where you are at in your education too. Like, oh, if you're graduating this year, you're probably a senior, and you probably have a little bit more of an idea of what you're doing, hopefully. Also, we do a lot of stuff with classes. If you have anything like relevant job, like if it's relevant to the job, you can add like a senior thesis, projects, all this sort of stuff, and like a related coursework or honor section. I could go over that a little bit later in the slides of like really like some more specifics of things that you can actually add that are applicable to most of us. Some companies request a GPA, but it's kind of up to you whether you add it or not. The rule of thumb, if it's above 3.0, probably add it because it looks good. If it's below, probably don't. Although we all know that like GPA does not equal how smart or capable you are. That's kind of, you know, if you don't want to have yourself like exposed to some sort of like, you know, judgment prior to your application, then if it's above a 3.0, maybe don't put that on there. It's kind of sad that we have to do that. So experience. So you can either do some like a general experience heading, or you could do something a little bit more specific. I have the examples of research experience in geoscience, community involvement, that sort of stuff, if it's relevant to the job. You also want to add like a little description below each experience. So like, you know, you're like, oh, hey, I worked, you know, here at UTD as a student assistant. You might want to list kind of like a thing like experience, skills attained, duties, you know, kind of the results if you know, were doing research in particular. Because it kind of helps give the employer an idea of what you're actually doing. Because a student assistant kind of doesn't mean a lot unless you talk about what you kind of did. You also want to start descriptions with action verbs to kind of highlight your skills. If you're doing bullet lists, you don't want it to be like an 8 bullet point list. That's just, it takes up a lot of space kind of for no reason. So kind of limit it to 3 or 4 bullet points. Also use the correct tense. If you did it in the past, please use past tense. Don't use like continuous present tense, like creating or doing. That's just kind of a rule of thumb thing. Avoid jargon, unless it's really relevant to the position you're applying to. Like if you're doing something specifically like geosciences, and it's like, you know, it involves a lot of like people obviously will know like the lingo that you're using. You're not just talking to someone who's never heard about anything geoscience. Then, you know your audience, really. You also want to be concise, which is pretty easy to do if you're limiting yourself to 1 page. Also, work experience does not have to be paid. All those unpaid internships do count. Please add those on there. That is experience. So here's kind of some examples of how those sections kind of go. I took some of these images from Yale. They have a lot of resume templates, which are really great. I think the other one is potentially from UTD. I think there's one template out for undergrads. I'd have to look into it more, but I did pull up a website kind of do that. Okay, here's the get creative section. This is what I'm talking about, of things that might apply to y'all. So anything that you've done in class, you probably can put on there. So like talk about research papers or projects, like Henry uses the SEM for his position. If you use the SEM in paleobio, you could put that on there. You had to write a research paper for communications, which I imagine most of all have taken by this point. Add that on there. Even the geoscience animations course, if you made a video, add that on there. That's experience. That's relevant. Also, field camp is field experience. Like you didn't spend 3 weeks out in the woods doing nothing. Might as well put it on there. Also, GIS courses, you could list those on there, because especially if you have a GIS certificate, maybe just put that on there, not your GIS courses. But I have a little bit of experience with GIS, so I'd probably put that I've taken a course and I'm like semi-familiar with it. Also, if you've done any research with a graduate student or presented at GSA, that might be good things to put on there, especially if you're like really trying to find something. Presenting your work and like your portfolio is always a good thing. So kind of our language and skills section. Yes. Yes. So kind of our language and skills section. So if you have any licenses or certificate, jobs right now are looking really for GIS. I know GeoClub also offered leads as a certification for y'all to get. I don't know if anyone in this room took that. You could list both of those on there. Anything else you also can list on there as well. Languages, you want to include a level of fluency, so like proficient, fluent, native, because that's always nice. Employers always like people who are bilingual, multilingual. Programming language and computer skills. So I hope y'all have touched a computer before. So any sort of video editing software, like use Adobe Premiere if you felt confident with that. Even you can put like emerging on that if you don't really have that much familiarity with it. Statistical analysis, any communications, media that you've done, HTML, Java, Python, the list goes on and on. Activities that require significant commitment. If you did band in high school and you haven't really done anything that's super committing sense, maybe put that under the description of academics, stuff like that. Like GeoClub officer, I spent a lot of time here doing things, getting set up for the next officers to have a good time. So I'm going to put that because that was a lot of my time. Might as well. Also, sometimes personal interest can be a good thing to put on there if you have any room, because they're kind of good conversation starters. So like sports, cooking, animation, art, all that sort of fun stuff. Just don't put anything inappropriate as that. I think that goes without saying. So this is kind of a couple examples of like some skills sections. They're very bad graphic wise. They were not that bad on my computer, but how they list proficient in Spanish, computer languages, all that sort of stuff. So these are kind of what like 2 full pages of what your resume really should look like based off of the template. See how it's kind of really nicely organized, and it's got your name up here, kind of all your details, all the different sections, how it kind of goes. Current GPA 3.9, 4 out of 4.0. That's pretty good GPA. Listed there. Some of these are off of Yale, which I believe, I don't know, it'll say, yeah, this one's off Yale, that's why it's 3.9 GPA. But that's kind of the overall look that it should have. So I actually also included a couple links for y'all. So Yale resume templates, there's some that are actually more STEM based, which I'll pull both of these websites up, which I found were quite interesting. They have kind of a variety. UTD resume templates didn't really have as much of a variety, but it's still worth a look if you're just going for a particular look and trying to figure out what really speaks to you. I can pull this up here. So at Yale, you basically just search resume Yale, and it'll pull up this site. And here's kind of the selection for undergraduates. Note the STEM resumes, STEM research one, the general ones, all that sort of stuff. Those really are the concrete ones that apply to us. And the undergraduate one, it's actually one, and it's a download, I believe. There's JSON ones, but couldn't really find anything NSM. So that's kind of what this JSON one looks like. It's not bad. I think it's fine. But you might want to make it a lot more STEM oriented. So that kind of brings us to, does anyone have any questions? I was going to bring out didn't really make sense to print out resume templates for y'all because y'all need them on the computer. That's why I included links. But if you have any kind of questions on this?
I'll make a couple comments.
Yeah, of course.
So number one, sometimes people refer to resumes as CVs, curriculum vitae. So it's the same thing, just different words. The other is that there's a lot of stuff you suggested putting in one page.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree with you that it's important. 12-point font is better than 10-point font. Young eyes are much better at reading than old eyes, and old eyes do the hiring. So I would encourage 12-point font. Now, if you should tailor your resume to the job you're applying. So obviously you're going to get a resume set up, but if you do a little research about the company, what the job is, you can modify your resume to be more aligned with what they're looking for. So consider putting down all of the things that Katie suggested, and maybe it goes on for 3 pages. And then when it comes time for putting together a resume to send for a job application, high grade that so that you're identifying things that you want to advertise about yourself that they are likely to be looking for. And one of the most important things, especially for beginners, is how do you work on a team? So as a student, what you've got is my GPA is my GPA. Nobody, obviously, everybody had help, but they're not interested in a lone wolf. Lone wolves are actually destructive. They're looking for a team there. So find a way, and maybe that is in your objective, which can be tailored to the job you're applying for. I'm a young blah 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 interested in getting on a team and contributing. That's what people are looking for. They're, you know, as you go through your career, you'll move into leadership, but at the beginning, no, they're basically just watching, saying, does this person have potential, or should we wish them a good life? So find a way to figure out what's the culture of the company and tailoring your one-page resume to reflect that.
I do want to add that both on Word and on Google Docs, usually you're going to be using Word for these templates, but there is a make a copy function. So that might allow you to actually keep your original resume, which you doctor at time to time, and then you copy it over and then delete out the stuff that you don't need to limit it down to a page.
It's a good exercise, even if you never applied for a job, because you're sort of looking back on your life and what you did with it so far. And that's always a useful exercise for any of us. Me as well as you.
Yeah. And just trying to update it as often as you can, as often as you think about it, to get like those little minor details, important things. What's up,
crazy at the back?
Yeah, I can see that.
I would also point out over your life, you will work a lot of peculiar jobs, survival jobs, jobs you work at for a week, like that band shop I worked at in Red Prairie for a whole week. And I don't tell people about that. You don't have to, your job history isn't everything you've done. It's the relevant stuff. And, when you're in an interview, you can say, you got to work a lot of jobs. Oh, yes. And also, there's it is good to have to be self-employed long-term at something to cover up those suspicious periods of rest. It's like, oh, I didn't work for 6 months. I was bumming around with friends in New Mexico. Right. Well, you can say, at the time I was self-employed at computer repair, because you're always trying to fix a friend's computer or something. So, am I telling you you can lie? I'm telling you you can describe your own life. Don't tell lies. You can tell, face to face, you can explain stuff because they've had lives like that too, unless they're just a complete ass. And so you get them to tell your own story.
Any of the graduate students have any input on kind of anything graduate school resume-ish?
I would say stay away from like fancy templates. I did way more interviews with just like regular, like plain resume templates than like fancy, like colorful ones. So I would stay away from the bot, like pay $10 for a template. Like I would stay away from those.
Never put a photo.
I kind of like, when I get a resume, for one reason or another, I like to look at their hobbies, because, you get somebody to talk, they come in for a job, and, it gets kind of boring when you talk about, oh, I went to blah, blah, blah school, and I studied blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, you play golf. Oh, that's kind of an interesting thing. You can spin off on that. What do you like about golf? Seems like a boring sport to me. But, and then you get I mean, who was it that was very famous? Oh, Shackleton. So Shackleton, he put an ad in. This is for the big expedition south, to the South Pole. And the ad said, looking for young men for low pay, may not return. Okay. And so he's basically trying to get this expedition with young people that can deal with hardship. And it was actually one of the most remarkable stories in exploration ever. But he would ask them things like, why do you wear that set of glasses? They look weird. Because he wanted to know, how do these people respond to friction, right? There's going to be friction. Like if you're in, so in the South Pole, you're all going to sleep in one room. Somebody's going to snore. Somebody's going to fart. How do you deal with that? You're going to get tired of watching people chew with their mouth open. And so you basically go, you know, why did you wear that hat? And then the person goes, well, then you know, okay, this person isn't going to deal with it. You want somebody that goes, oh, you like that hat? You know, that is kind of, you're going to be able to get along with, right? And you guys aren't going to be applying to go with Shackleton at the South Pole, but any company is going to be stressful, I guarantee you. And the company you want to work for is one that is concerned about managing stress in the group. So a few hobbies doesn't matter.
So another thing too, don't fall into the trap, especially when you have a lot of places you want to apply to, whether it's jobs or graduate schools. Do not just kind of send the same resume. You really want to try your best to tailor it to whatever you're applying to. And for me, one thing I found is kind of like the best, because you're going to apply to a lot of places. The best way to do that is like, so make a really long CV at first, and then when you like look the thing that you're applying for, you can kind of like take the more descriptive sections, have that be the resume, and keep kind of like the simpler sections. You know, so for example, when you're applying to grad school, if you want to like apply for like a metrology position, then maybe put like you know, metrology, mineralogy not only on top, but like emphasize what the class taught you, versus if you're applying for like a structural geologist. Maybe you just say that you took metrology and mineralogy, and then put field camp on the top, and specifically say like, oh, we went to Colorado, New Mexico, to, you know, San Ysidro, etc. And the same thing applies to jobs as well, like, you know, petroleum geology job versus like a geochemist job, etc.
Oh, I got to add something to that. So as a graduate advisor, I look at all of the applications. So there's two levels of stupidity I see in coding. One is where they don't even bother to change the name of the school they're applying to. So you read through, you know, I'm really excited about coming to the University of Cincinnati to study geology. Okay, you're careless. And then they'll also talk about our outstanding faculty in some field that we don't have anybody in. It's like, okay, you've done zero research on our department. You're an idiot. But I mean, there's two levels of idiocy. Number one, get the name of the place you're applying to straight. And number two, don't compliment an organization for a quality they don't have. It's like, okay, this person's bogus. We'll take your money anyway.
Yeah,
This person
excellent.
is immature.
What's up, Clint?
I'm sorry, I can't shut up. You guys, I want you guys to suggest one of the emptiest, most meaningless ways to express what you want to do. How can you say a whole sentence that says absolutely nothing? You know, create opportunities forward to the future going,
Value enhancement.
value enhancement. There's a lot of times, you know, start with the message, you know, your message. What do I want to do for you? And you say this empty ass shit. Don't do that. Say something that like has, you know, actually expresses a concept that has to do with them. I mean, everybody likes creating value, but do I want it?
The reality in any transaction, the fundamental question is, what are you going to do for me? right? So you guys obviously are looking out, you know, what is the company going to do for me? They're going to pay me, right? I don't have to go to school. But the other side of that is, what does this person who I don't know care about going to do for me? Me being the company. Think about that. And you can't answer that, just like you can't apply to a department unless you know something about them, right? You guys know about us very, very well, but you don't know anything about SMU, right? So the letter you're going to write to apply to UTD, you wouldn't use that for applying to SMU. Because it would be that person doesn't have a clue. A little bit of research goes a long way.
Key points, takeaways, relevancy in all aspects of your resume, spell checking,
Yeah.
and using your brain while writing your resume.
Well, don't just spell check, but read it, because spell checking will spell it right. But if you don't read it over, you'll go, oh, that's the wrong use there. So spell check and then go reread. Get a friend, better yet, get a friend.
Having other people read your resumes really highlights how bad they are sometimes. Trust me, I know this from experience. But feedback is always a good thing. You can always improve upon things. But we don't have any more questions. I'm gonna get like kind of through this. I want to give you all some time to actually maybe start working on a resume. If you do want to take on a different template, I'll throw those back up there. Any more questions, inputs? Cool. All right, so scholarships, they're pretty much the same as last time. The scholarships for this department are due on the 11th. That is Monday, I believe. They do require a resume, as we just talked about. So if you want to renew your resume, I gave you some 30 minutes or whatever to do that. They also require a couple other things, kind of an unofficial transcript. You have to actually fill out the page as well, and a one-page narrative as to why they should relieve it to you. They have it more professionally worded than that, but that's basically what it is.
That's funny, Katie, because I'm on the scholarship committee and I didn't know that deadline was next Monday.
Yeah, to my knowledge, Keon keeps saying it's April 11th. It's like this upcoming Monday, so like in
Last
3
year,
days.
You gave money to everybody that applied, so if that's not an incentive, I don't know what the hell.
Did I get
I
the
guess if you got an F average.
date wrong, or did I misread
I have
Keon's
no
email?
idea. I just-
Oh, okay, because like she's been saying the 11th. Keon, scholarships are due on the 11th, correct?
Huh?
This coming Monday, the 11th. That's when scholarships are due.
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
No,
Okay.
I did not know.
Well, now we all know, and now we know for sure.
Yeah, due days, at 5 o'clock on April 11th. You don't have to be a fancy resume, just write an essay, okay? And right now, I've only got 9 undergrad. Please, okay?
They could be allergic to money. I mean, some people are allergic to green stuff.
I guess, because I was sending down with the notification every week. You know,
Junk food.
especially when you go out in the field, camp. You need financial, support, and please put this statement on there that I say too, okay? I'm trying to help as much as I can, you guys. Okay,
You know you fly, you can't complain about how college costs too much.
that's right. And I'm trying to get the, final that semester reception in food order. I've been trying to call everybody.
April 29th, free food.
It's the free food, Korean food.
Oh.
That was good. That's what I got, everybody told me they wanted to have it. The last time I did 2015 or 2016. And now they refuse to do the catering and delivering, and it's like, oh my gosh. So the last final place, I'm gonna go, but around, and pretty soon I'm gonna go and drop it off. I'm gonna go get a quote and all of that. Then I submitted all the information, through the school, so they have to approve it before we do anything, before we get fired.
Well, Keong is trying to lead y'all the horse to water. She can't make you drink. You gotta fill out the scholarship yourself. She can't do it for you.
That's right. Okay, is it a little warm in here?
I think it's
Okay,
fine.
good. Because the air conditioning is down right now.
Well, good to know.
One thing you'll find with applying for scholarships is the first one is more work than the second, because you can basically copy and paste. So you have to get over that, you have to do that, get that activation energy, make the first one. And then you can use that, modify it, much less work to get more money, more money, more money. Next thing you know, you don't even need a job. You've got so much money.
The dream. DGS also has a scholarship. I know we offered the DGS memberships to y'all. Onto internships and jobs. So the NSM Dean's Office is still looking for a videographer, video editor, animator student, geoscience animations. If y'all are doing that, maybe think about applying. They're paying you $15 an hour. That's pretty good.
I will take credit for that, because when they reached out to me, I said, how much you paying? They said $12.50 an hour. I said, that's bullshit. I'm paying my students $15 an hour. So they said, okay, I guess we'll pay them $15 an hour.
Well, thank you, Stern, for the price match. TRC environmental intern, they're looking for something, and then there's also still the geology lab assistant from Colin. So that's kind of all the same as last meeting. So we kind of went over this already. Got to take it out. All right, on to fun things. So the 62nd Waco Gem and Minerals show is coming up end of April 30th through May 1st. Blake, do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, so at the Waco show, we're going to be going down there selling minerals for a couple of days. And we are looking for like 2 to 3 people to come with us. 6 total is the maximum. So all you'll be doing is going down with us, helping us run the stand for a couple days. After the show's done, we go back to the hotel, go get some food, hang out. It's a pretty chill trip. And all you'd have to do is help us load up, sell, and then load up to come back. It's a pretty fun trip.
And if we get enough people, we'll be like changing off as well too. So like y'all can actually go and like look at the actual mineral show, go buy something if you want. We're not just going to keep you hostage at the booth the whole time.
Yeah, we only need like 3 people running the booth at a time. So yeah, up to 6, get a team to switch out and kind of take the first shift or second shift. Overall, it's pretty fun.
I forgot to get the slide. Sorry. Oh, actually, never mind.
Yeah. I need to talk about that. It's like,
Yep.
GeoClub went to the Pearl Museum yesterday. We had a huge turnout, like around 25 people, and they all had fun. We met the director of Gems and Minerals, Kimberly Wagner, and she, although she wanted to show us around more, but she couldn't because Pearl like had her to explain people over there. So anyways, yeah, so I see Madigan, Zach, Henry, who went to the trip. Anything you want to add that you liked about the trip?
It was really great getting to see the whole museum. We got our own leisure. It was really nice. I hope we can do it again.
Did y'all do the look to that to see the fossil extraction? No. We can go to the like storage area because like previously I was trying to arrange like a private visit just by teaching students, but that wasn't possible because of the conflicted times of the participants. So we went to the Thursday Suntap where like after hours, people 21 plus can go and like have beer and just walk around. Last time I went there, they said like with extract the fossils, sometimes they're tired. So like you basically just work with machines and you actually dig the matrix and how it actually comes from fossils. That's cool. Yeah, I mean sometimes like from time to time, whenever they need someone, they post the jobs. And when I did my internship, I found the internship information on Handshake. So it's like just keep a lookout on Handshake and I think it'll find information about that. But yeah, I mean people had fun and it was a great night. And yeah.
Also, reimbursement why is real quick. I know at least y'all three went. So send us pictures of y'all's receipts and your PayPal information, and we'll PayPal you back. We'll reimburse you for that. If for some reason you need cash out of the cash box, like you paid cash, let us know. We still need a receipt from you anyways, but we have to document all that sort of stuff to kind of see where all of our money is going. So yeah, just let us know. We're gonna start working on that this weekend, getting all that kind of back to y'all. Anything else, Pronto? Yes.
One last thing is, you see that next fall, I'm teaching an Adobe Illustrator course, how to use it, I will impart knowledge so you do not have to go through the agonies I had to go through, but Illustrator, though I hate the company, can actually help you do less work. And that's for undergraduates only, or is it undergraduate?
If there's a graduate student that wants to take it, we can adjust that, but it's intended for undergraduates.
Correct. Yeah, so that's, and it's open for geoscience and, GIS and whatever.
Job skill.
Cool. Yeah, just in general, always keep an eye out for internships from the Perot. I don't believe they're doing anything for the gems and minerals. I think that's going to be next year, right?
It's a good experience, but it would be nice to get a little bit of money.
Yeah, I asked Kim and she said that she will try to open up 2 internships this fall. But I mean, as like Fero is handling the internship thing centrally now, so it's like they can open up more internships. So yeah, she'll let me know, and as soon as I know, I'll post it.
All right. So hope y'all know about it now. Rock Talk with Caitlin and Amanda. It is 9 a.m. on Thursdays.
Thursdays at 10 a.m.
My bad. I was just about to look at it.
On radioutd.com.
Do you have all the recordings up yet, or?
Not yet, but we are working on it.
Mhm.
There's
That's
fun
what I heard.
interviews, follow UTD, follow Radio UTD across the board. We've got Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. I think those 3. Oh, and YouTube, we have YouTube.
If you give me those links, I can go ahead and send them out as an announcement on the Discord and stuff too.
Right.
All right, yeah, y'all probably already know our socials by now. I covered every meeting. So same stuff. Facebook's good for alumni. We use our Discord as primary communication now. Yeah, we got our Instagram that kind of announces flyers for meetings as well. And then the TikTok just for fun. I believe that's our last slide. You got it, Jice? I'll give you a second. Oh, I lied. The student Discord, that's primarily for just actual students of, like, it's an unofficial server. So it was created by Stacia, as y'all probably know. There are rules for the graduate students. So that kind of opens up the ability to, like, so y'all aren't really in all the class talks. So that's kind of important to the students. But it actually also opens up the ability to have the Ask Brad channel, which is really nice. So like if someone needs any information from like a graduate student about, grad work and all that sort of stuff, they can ask through that channel as well. Then we got the mineral giveaway. So did everyone get signed in up at the front?
Can I say a few words?
So everyone, today, the mineral we have is a sericite from the Flux Mine in Santa Cruz County, Arizona. It's actually a pretty nice mineral.
You want to say it to the group or us? No. We can do it now.
A few words just before leave. So Commons Giving Day was Wednesday and yesterday. So the School of Natural Sciences and mathematics. Oh, this is our only fundraising activity during the year. School of Natural Sciences and Mathematics raised $5,300 from 62 gifts. So, which department do you think raised the most money? You'd think it'd be the biggest department, which would be biology. And if not biology, then chemistry, then if not chemistry, mathematics, and if not chemistry, then physics. But no, the department which raised the most funds was Geosciences. We are the smallest and least important department in the School of National Science and Mathematics. But I'm trying to get the exact numbers, but we probably raised 80% of the money and had 80% of the total donations. And one of the big reasons for that is because GeoClub, many of you gave some money. Now there's two things, like, okay, you guys are going, I ain't got that money. So the money I've got, I've already given all that I'm going to be giving to UTD. But stop and think. How can you help this department? You can help this department not by giving us $10,000, which you don't have, but by giving us $1. So there's two things that count. One is the number of donations, and the other is the total dollar amount. So what I do is I will give some money, I will put my name there, but I will not say how much money I gave. And I really, those of you that gave $1 yesterday or $5, thank you very much. You helped us. And also you showed the way for the rest of the school. Just imagine if biology, chemistry, and mathematics and physics had the turnout in terms of numbers that Geosciences had. You guys are showing the way. And I want to thank you for that. Now, those of you might go, well, shit, I've given UTD enough of my money. They're not getting a damn dime more. Think about this. Those of you that apply are going to get scholarship. Do you know where scholarship money comes from? It does not grow on the beautiful trees outside our lovely place. It comes from donations. Now, it's not going to come from student donations. It comes from successful alumni donations. One of our successful alumni gave us $1,000, which is nothing to him because he's making probably, if not 100 times that, 500 times that. And some of you will be in that same place too. But you guys show that you care about our school and our department by giving $1 and by encouraging your friends to do likewise. And with your efforts, we're going to be able to show the rest of the school how to do it. So next year, probably be in April, and I hope GeoClub will continue and build on its success this year. So, thank you.
All right, everyone got signed in, right? 17.
I bet you it's 45 out of 60 donations.
Eight. Like, can't read. Give him a second. Really? Like, I actually can't read.
Chang.
Now let's see a Y. 0000.
CXD.
Yes. 704. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna roll now.
I'm not that handwriting, that's my point.
13.
We got a wriggle.
How many times?
Okay.
12. You have to stay for the mineral.
13 again. Okay. Again. Oh, 14 now.
Look at some.
Robert.
Hey, finally.
Going under 10.
I think that's a new record.
Alright, I'm gonna throw the templates back up there and I'll let Steve hang out or actually
Okay.
work on the resume.
Thank you all for coming.